how Venezuelan migrants destroyed a U.S. city. From terrifying street shootouts to violent gangs taking over apartment buildings, Aurora, Colorado has become a real battleground. Residents not only live in fear, but also face specific threats from smugglers and criminal organizations that control every alley, plunging the entire city into chaos. But what led to this situation? Today, we'll explore the complex story of Venezuelan migrants and how they have unintentionally contributed to the downfall of an American city. This issue is not unique to Aurora. It is truly a wake-up call for many states and cities across the U.S. Let's dive deeper into this crisis. Overview of the migration crisis in the United States. To understand what's happening in Aurora, we first need to take a broader look at the ongoing migration crisis across the U.S. Millions of people are fleeing their home countries in search of a safer future in America. Historically, this crisis has been associated with Mexican migrants. But over the past decade, the number of migrants from Venezuela has skyrocketed. These Venezuelans aren't just escaping violence and political oppression. They're fleeing an economic collapse that has made life in their home country unbearable. Their journey is not easy. They have to cross multiple countries to reach the U.S. border. And it's not just about seeking refuge, but also a struggle for survival. This migration wave has not only changed perceptions of where immigrants are coming from, but also highlighted the complexity and challenges faced by nations in the era of global migration. Factors behind the surge in Venezuelan migration to the U.S. Why has the number of Venezuelan migrants surged so dramatically? The situation in Venezuela has deteriorated to the point where millions feel they have no other choice but to leave. Economic mismanagement and corruption have led to hyperinflation, food shortages, and lack of medical supplies. Social decay and rampant violence have threatened the safety of individuals and families. Venezuelans from all walks of life are facing the constant fear of being arrested or killed. Additionally, the human rights crisis in Venezuela has become a significant stain on the international map. Reports from the United Nations and human rights organizations indicate that political repression has reached alarming levels, with thousands of people imprisoned for expressing dissent. Some have even been killed in protests, and the Venezuelan government is facing accusations of human rights violations from the International Criminal Court. With such difficulties, millions of Venezuelans have no choice but to seek refuge in the U.S., where they hope to rebuild their lives from scratch. However, the sudden influx of immigrants is posing a significant challenge to the U.S. government, and Aurora, Colorado, is just one of many cities feeling the pressure from this wave of migration. The numbers explained. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, 2023 saw a staggering increase in Venezuelan migrants arriving in the U.S., with numbers reaching up to 262,000 people crossing the border. This has created chaos at the U.S.-Mexico border, with some days seeing as many as 3,000 Venezuelans entering illegally. This surge has not only placed a strain on social services and infrastructure in American cities, but has also raised political and security concerns. Aurora is just one of many places across the U.S. experiencing the impact of this sudden increase, but it serves as a clear example of the challenges a city faces in trying to cope with the migration crisis. The impact on Colorado. Colorado, known for its open and friendly environment, is now dealing with a complex reality related to the migration crisis. Although Colorado's government denies that the state is a sanctuary for migrants, many laws and policies still allow immigrants to seek stability there. This has made Denver one of the main stops for Venezuelan migrants. Since December 2022, Denver has become a magnet for migrants from South and Central America, partly due to its strategic location near the I-25 corridor and Texas. In 2023 and 2024, the city has received thousands of migrants, particularly Venezuelans, overwhelming its support systems and infrastructure. In April 2024, CBC reported that over 40,000 migrants had arrived in Denver, many of them from Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott used a strategy of transporting migrants to Democratic-leaning cities to exert pressure on immigration policies. By mid-January 2024, Denver's shelters had reached full capacity with 5,200 people, pushing the city into an unprecedented crisis. This has led to tensions not only over resources but also security, with many residents blaming the surge in migration for rising crime rates. Crime and gang activity in Aurora. Along with the increase in Venezuelan migrants in Colorado, there has been a surge in crime and gang activity, particularly in nearby Aurora. Once known for its cultural and ethnic diversity, Aurora is now facing a wave of crime that many attribute to Venezuelan gangs such as Tren de Aragua. With an estimated 5,000 members worldwide, this organization engages in criminal activities like extortion and smuggling while taking over rundown apartment buildings and turning them into hubs for violent operations. In August 2024, a shocking online video went viral, showing armed men attempting to break into an apartment in a residential complex in Aurora. This video sparked fear in the local community about the presence of criminal gangs in the city. Later reports from the Daily Mail and other media outlets confirmed that Venezuelan gangs like Tren de Aragua were indeed operating in Aurora and Denver, even controlling some apartment buildings and forcing residents to pay rent to them instead of the actual landlords. Residents of Aurora now live in constant fear, with many changing their daily routines, avoiding public areas, and limiting outdoor activities to protect their safety. Apartment complexes like Whispering Pines have become hotspots for criminal activities, and residents report installing extra locks on their doors and having their cars hit by bullets during nearby shootouts. During the debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, the issue of crime in Aurora was raised. Trump claimed that gangs were taking over the city, with numerous reports of buildings being controlled by Tren de Aragua. Initially, city officials denied the gang's presence, but after several arrests, they had to admit that gang-related crime was spreading in Aurora. Analysis of Aurora's community response. It's essential to emphasize that not all Venezuelan migrants are involved in criminal activities. The vast majority are simply seeking a safe place to escape the violence and chaos in their home country, and are trying to integrate into American society. However, a smaller group, including gang members, has taken advantage of the instability caused by the migration wave to establish a foothold in some U.S. cities. These individuals, through their illegal activities, have had a negative impact on the community, straining local resources and law enforcement. The rise in crime has sparked numerous debates within the Aurora community. Many residents are fearful of the deteriorating security situation, while city officials face pressure from both political and public sectors. Denver 7 News recorded the responses of Aurora officials, who claimed that the situation in Aurora was not a full-blown crisis. They said the issue was limited to a few areas and properties, not a threat to the entire city. However, for many locals, these reassurances do little to calm their fears. The New York Post interviewed a woman living in an apartment complex on Dallas Street, where she had to endure gunfire and fights night after night. "I no longer feel safe, especially with my children," she said. She recounted that the constant gunfire made her fear for her family's safety. After enduring the situation for an extended period, she decided to move away, believing it was the only way to ensure her children's safety. Fortunately, Aurora's police force has started taking strong measures to address the situation. According to the New York Post, gangs have taken over vacant apartments, turning them into bases for their criminal operations. However, Aurora police, with support from city officials, have acted decisively, shutting down 2 apartment complexes and forcing owners to relinquish control over these areas. While these efforts have brought some improvement, they are still not enough to completely resolve the ongoing issues in Aurora.